feel like it might be flipped. So what's going on this morning, first thing first?
Well, it's not as cold, that's for sure.
No doubt. I saw you this morning.
Yeah, I saw you too. I was going to give you a ride, but I figured you were already at the building.
I slipped like 2 times on that. We had this entryway that
go through the side.
I got to do that.
Yeah, I go through the side. I don't mess around with the plank right there because it is slippery. I almost bit it the first day, and I was so when I did one of those, I looked up to see if there was any cameras up top. I was like, I hope nobody's watching me.
You want workman's comp on your first day. First day on the show, you want Disney to pay you more.
Nah, it wouldn't be Disney. I think the individual might have a little more cash than Disney probably.
Personal lawsuit.
No, it was good. I watched the Nets last night. I found myself sitting up watching that game.
See, that's when you rooted for us because we actually were beating your arch rival.
Actually, to be honest with you, I did not, Jay. I swear to you, I found myself kind of hating on the Nets.
What? I thought you don't root for. I thought the Clippers are the one team in LA you do not root for.
I just found myself hating on the Nets because it's all this momentum about the Nets being the team in the big three that could pop the Lakers. So I found myself in the end, like, man, they shouldn't even win. But they played well. Kyrie, man, I meant to text you, but it was so late. I didn't want to text you and ask you, were you like that? Because in my mind, but in my mind, Jay, I'm serious. I just visualize you like that. Because he was hit rocks, dropping buckets from deep, too. And it was hitting the bottom of the net.
He's just so, like, everybody always asks me, like, who's that one player that Kyrie reminds you of? He's like a 3.0 version of Rod Strickland, man. Like, but a better shooter. You know what I mean? He's so herky-jerky with it.
I don't think
he makes it dance.
I watched it from beginning to end. I don't think I seen him miss, although he did miss some shots. But it was just like everything was wet. I was like, and then KD too. KD we gotta take him to eat though. I can't
stop.
Man, seriously though.
They call him the Slim Reaper, man.
Man, he's the Slim Reaper. I didn't see a muscle in them arms. I was looking. I was like, ain't nowhere in the world.
I can't with you this morning.
I love KD. KD, one of my favorite players, Zubin. But you talk about skin and bones. God.
And Zubin, I got to tell you, the little people last night, we had a big game. Fred VanVleet went for 54 points, 11 threes. It was incredible to watch.
It was a record-setting performance. We'll talk about that in just under a half hour. It truly was a record-setting moment in NBA history. Kyrie had 39. It was the Nets over the Clippers, for those that don't know, 124-120.
And KD's so long, man, and fluid and smooth. Like, it's just, I don't understand how people don't embrace his game to a whole nother level. Like, you know how you talk about Patrick Mahomes being the greatest, or Aaron Rodgers being the greatest thrower of the football. Like, KD's got to be like the greatest at something because he just crazy. Like, it's just effortless.
Well, Key, I'll tell you, I've never seen a comeback story like this. I mean, off a blown Achilles, there's a history of people that just never come back from that.
And when you watch him, Jay, run up and down the floor, it doesn't even look like or resemble that at all whatsoever that he had an injury. Because guys, you know how people pick their way through. They're playing, but you can tell like they're not sure. Man, this dude ran the floor. It was a turnover. He ran the floor to catch up to try to block it. And I'm sitting there going, he ain't got no problem with his Achilles. He don't care.
It was like 3 strides down the whole floor.
3 strides down the whole floor, exactly. I mean, he's just, I love him, though, man. I've always loved him. When I first met him when he was at Texas and he was towering over me, first thing I thought, man, I put my elbow through that dude's chest. But, he's legit
so
as they
competitive.
Come. No,
so
because
competitive. I love
it's not that I'm competitive. I'm just looking at him because he was so tall, and that's the first time I seen somebody that tall and that slim that puts in work the way KD has done. I mean, it's just
the closing line on that game was actually Clippers minus 1.5. So if you had the Nets, you were in pretty darn good shape with a 4-point win. Speaking of the opening line of the Super Bowl, it opened and it was Bucks +3. So the Bucks were a 3-point underdog. And this preview of the big game is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Now the line is actually Bucks 3.5, which just would tell you that more people are betting on the Chiefs.
I'm
right?
glad I got y'all in my life, because for a guy that's been around sports his entire life, I don't understand the minus plus, the plus. Who's favored? Kansas City.
Kansas City is favored
Kansas
by
City,
3.5
yes.
points.
So they got to win by at least 4.
Correct, for you to cash.
Yes.
See, that's a bad bet.
Unless you do a money line wager.
Because if
which
they
means
kick a
if the
field
Chiefs
goal
win,
and they
you
win, I don't win any money.
Right. But you could bet them on the money line, which essentially means that's just another word for saying who wins straight up. So if you got confidence Kansas City can win by just 1 point, which obviously would be the minimum amount, of course, you could just bet a money line pick on the Chiefs. That's just a fancy way of saying I just want to pick the Chiefs straight up.
But the money that I earn back ain't going to be where it should be.
But that's only fair
That's a bad bet.
because the Chiefs are favored to win, so they're not going to give you a ton of the payout if you're betting on the team that's favored
But
to
that's
win.
a sucker bet. I'm not taking that bet, Jay.
Who you betting on, Key?
I would
If
bet
you have
on-
to bet the money line. Who you betting on?
I'm going to bet on Kansas City, but I'm not going to get, if I gave them $10, what they going to give me back?
Not as much as you would bet if
not
you
as
bet on
much,
the Bucks,
yeah.
right?
See, I don't like that bet.
So here's the deal. The Bucks,
I want to give you 10 and you give me 20 back if I win.
But that's not good business for me. That's good business for
Exactly.
you.
But that's why I don't bet.
That's fair. That's fair. So here's the deal. The Bucks right now stand at a plus 3.5. So they're an underdog by 3.5 points. More money's coming in on Kansas City. But you say, despite the fact, both of you, that the Bucks are the underdog in this game, that's rare. The Super Bowl team that's an underdog has more pressure on them, you think?
Well, it has pressure because of everything that has taken place from beginning to end. Tom Brady goes there. We talked about this early on in the beginning of the season. What is it that the Bucks need to do? I said just get to the playoffs, something they hadn't done in a long time. And they did that. Now, what do they need to do? Win a playoff game. Well, they did that. Well, what do they need to do? Get to the Super Bowl. Well, they did that. What do they need to do? Win the Super Bowl. Because you got Tom to get to the playoffs. Then he got you there. You got Tom. Now the narrative changes again. Now you got Tom to win the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? If you go back 5 months, it's like, oh, if they make it to the playoffs, everything's fine. But now we're there. They did all that. Now they're in the Super Bowl. What is it Tom Brady is known for? Winning the Super Bowl. So you got to win the Super Bowl at this point. And they know that in their home stadium, at home. It's their deal. They got terrific Tom. They've got to win the Super Bowl. That's the pressure.
And it's crazy because all these weeks leading up to this game, I've been asking the question, how come there's not pressure on Kansas City? How come we're not talking about Kansas City? And every time we spoke about it, it was like, well, we just expect them to be there. And it just seems like they can just roll so easy under the radar. And nobody says anything. Andy Reid doesn't say anything. You talk about Patrick Mahomes doesn't light people up, doesn't give you any ammunition. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, we got Bruce Arians talking trash, throwing shade to Bill Belichick a little bit, talking about letting Tom coach. We got Gronk saying this is the happiest I've been in my entire career in Tampa. We're talking about Tom Brady's 7th Super Bowl championship, potentially 10th appearance. I mean, all these things that are, being at home, playing in Tampa. It just seems like all this stuff is mounting up once again to Tampa having all the pressure on them to a degree, and then Patrick Mahomes just rolling easy underneath the radar.
Fair enough. I just would say really quickly, I think part of the reason there's not as much pressure on Tampa, I think next year you could reasonably make the assumption they'll be back. Their head coach is back. There's no head coaching openings. Their coordinators will be back. Guys can join via free agency. Brady will have a proper offseason program, not working out at high schools and all of that. He'll have an absolutely more conventional offseason. And if he's going to play past 45, I actually think they have a better chance next year than they do this year, as crazy as that sounds.
I get worried about that. I mean, with another year with him, 44, I know his body's in shape, but man, it takes
Jay,
one wrong hit.
I think he said lay out.
Okay, I'm laying out.
No, I'm with you. At that age, obviously, you never know. By the way, we're asking this morning on the Twitter feed, Real Pick, give us your outside-the-box Super Bowl MVP. The reason we're asking that is in key Super Bowl, Dexter Jackson, who you may not have heard of before the game, but knew after the game, was your MVP. Who's your outside-the-box Super Bowl MVP, the under-the-radar guy for either team? Hit us up, 888-SAY-ESPN. On the way, why that aforementioned Super Bowl MVP, Dexter Jackson, didn't get the Disney World treatment. The story from Key. This is legit. The story from Key. After Key has this.
This is the big one. The last game of the football season is this weekend. A game this big deserves a big prize, not just some trophy. And DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of Super Bowl 55, has up to 55